Breaking news, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be analyzing the behavior and body language of Tyler Robinson, the man accused of assassinating Charlie Kirk. Before we get started with this, couple of quick things. One, I wanted to make sure you know this is not a psychological evaluation of any kind. These are just our opinions. In addition to that, I do want to remind you to like and subscribe if you want to see more content just like this. All right, let's go. What we're going to be analyzing first is this still shot from CCTV released by Candace Owens. And after that, we're going to be looking at some police body cam footage from 2022. All right, let's just jump right in. As reported by Candace Owens, this shot right here was provided to her and allegedly occurred at 6:38 p.m. the day of Charlie Kirk shooting. Now, as far as the authenticity of this picture, I don't think there's any question that that is, in fact, Tyler Robinson. This does not appear to be faked. It does not appear to be AI. I do think that this is an authentic photograph. Now, the question is when is it from? Is this actually from 6:38 p.m. the day that Charlie Kirk was shot? Now, if you look at the poster in the background, that promotional material for Superman, now that was released back in July, so it's possible they still just have old promotional material. I can see why someone might think that this picture is outdated because of that, but I wouldn't be shocked if a place like Dairy Queen still had promotional material that was a little bit out of date. Now, the red shirt he's wearing, he was actually seen wearing the shirt hours before the shooting. CCTV footage from someone's house actually showed this shirt. Different pants, but the same shirt. Now, what gets me about this picture, though, and what stands out to me is this little detail right down here. Now, the reason that's concerning to me is that, to me, that looks like the last part of a timestamp. So why they didn't include the timestamp itself in the photograph to prove that it was at 6:38 is concerning to me. Now, it could be that for whatever reason they cropped the picture so it was easier to see, something like that. Hopefully we'll find out once we can see the whole picture. But the fact that just this last little bit of what was likely the timestamp, because oftentimes CCTV cameras have the timestamp visible in the bottom left corner, but the fact that this little piece was left without, including the rest of it, I find a little bit puzzling. So is this image authentic? It almost certainly is. Whether or not it's at the time that it was claimed, hopefully we'll get clarity on that. Hopefully someone will be able to release the entire image or provide metadata or something that proves that it was actually at 6:38. Now, as far as the actual behavior we're seeing in this picture, appearing fairly calm, going out to eat several hours after allegedly shooting somebody, for the type of psychopath that can commit this kind of murder, that can assassinate somebody, it wouldn't be shocking at all that they feel justified in what they did. They probably feel quite good about what they did. And the nerves wearing off several hours later could potentially allow them to go out to eat, do something like that. So that behavior itself is not as shocking as it might appear. Now we're going to go on to the 2022 body cam footage and see what it says about Tyler Robinson and what he's liking her personally.
Who's the driver? You the driver?
Yeah.
Robinson. Can you tell me just really quick what happened?
I was coming this way and he was just passing through and he pulled out from here, or no, from there, I think.
Do you remember which lane you were in?
I was in.
So you're probably already noticing he has an awkward cadence to his voice. You're not seeing much emotion. He seems very calm. One thing body language-wise is he has one hand in his pocket and he's speaking with one hand. If you're in a situation like this and you are speaking this way unconsciously, police officers are less likely to believe you. So if you're going to speak with your hands, use both hands, not one, because that is seen as being less honest.
One of those two lanes going this way. I think in the right, in the rightmost lane coming this way.
Okay.
And he would have been there going left.
Now you're probably also noticing that these sunglasses, as far as I can tell, are the same ones, or at least very similar to the ones that were worn on the day of the shooting.
And as I was coming through, he turned in and I T-boned into the side.
Okay.
So you see, when he was talking about what he did, he was using one hand and then he used two hands to talk about when he T-boned him, because that was factual. That's something that actually did happen. So when he was talking about something that was provable,
as I was coming through, he turned in, and I T-boned into the side.
Okay. Do you remember looking at the light?
Yeah, it just turned yellow as I was getting into the intersection.
Gotcha.
Now, if you look at his body language relative to the person who was hit, the person who was hit is picking at his fingers, appears a lot more rattled and a lot more anxious, whereas Tyler Robinson appears to be fairly calm. He doesn't seem to be someone who is amped up by this. You're continuing to see very little motion. He's not moving around much. It's less than you typically see after somebody's been into an accident.
So here's the passenger.
Okay.
His insurance, mom's on the way. He doesn't have a copy right now, right?
That's mom right now.
Okay. That'll work out. I'll just go ahead and...
His body language tends to be very slow and deliberate as well. So not only does he use very minimal body language, he doesn't seem to be very activated. His anxiety seems to be very low. He just doesn't seem to be expressing much in the way of emotion. Typically, when people are anxious or if they've been into an accident, there's a little bit of shakiness. There's a little bit of fidgetiness. You can see that with the other person, but Tyler Robinson really demonstrates none of that.
Your mom's on her way?
Yeah, she's gonna be a minute. She's got to shuttle over from where she's at to her car and then drive over.
Gotcha. Okay, what I need you to do is just fill out this witness statement for me. This is just your identifying information. Down here, put exactly what you told me that happened. You two, are you brothers or friends?
Yeah.
Okay, all I needed, I just need his, down here, let's put name, date of birth, your address, and your phone number. That work just right down here. I have to list him as a passenger.
You'll also notice in terms of how he speaks to police, everybody's got their own way of doing it, but he's saying yes, not yes. He's not showing a certain amount of difference that people typically do when they're in situations like this.
Okay, are you injured in any way, shape, or form? No? Okay. Perfect. Okay, just give us a couple of minutes and we'll get the paperwork. All right? And we're going to have a tow truck come and get your car since you're leaking fluids. You're not going to last too long.
Just as I left the house, put oil in.
Of course.
Just topped it up.
So, this is the first time we've seen him try to be relatable and connect to the officer. This is something that we typically do when we're in situations like this. Unless we're angry, we try to be friendly. He has an awkward way of doing about it. I know I use that word a lot, but that's the only word that properly describes his social abilities. Is he is awkward. He's a little bit peculiar. As I said on other videos where I've talked about him, he does remind me a lot of Brian Kobiger. Now, Brian Kobiger murdered 4 students in Idaho. It was a very different situation, but something about the social skills, the overall presence, is very similar to me.
Okay. All right. Did you make a statement saying that it was your fault?
No.
What's that?
No. When I got out, I was worried, so I just went out. I was like, "Yeah, it wasn't your fault. It was our fault. We were messed up." And I first went up to him and to check on him.
Okay. You said that to him?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what do you mean by that?
I think it was just trying
So he's either mumbling under his breath or he's mimicking what's being said. I think that he's trying to say something, but he probably is socially anxious. Now, I talked about how he's not anxious in this situation as far as the accident goes. He seems quite calm in that way. But as far as asserting himself, as far as being able to interact socially, I think there are anxieties in that way. And right now, rather than speaking his mind, he just seems to be talking to himself. Possible that he's mimicking what they're saying, but I think that he's just sort of mumbling to himself so quietly that it's not being picked up on the body cam.
Got it. Well, what do you mean by that?
I think it was just trying not to.
Okay, because you guys have a couple different versions about what happened. So we had a third party witness that watched the entire thing. I'm just trying to clarify your guys' story a little bit. So you're heading
from that rightmost through lane through the intersection.
Okay.
And maybe a second or so before I reached the intersection, the light changed yellow.
Okay, you remember looking at the light?
Yeah, I was looking up at the light just before getting.
He's got very stiff and robotic movements as well because there's a certain flow to body language we typically see. His seems very, very stiff.
All right, buddy, here's your information back here. So this is a driver exchange form. This has all of his vehicle information and all your vehicle information, okay? The most important number on this piece of paper is this one.
And all your vehicle information, okay? The most important number on this piece of paper is this, 1. All right, we'll go ahead and wrap things up here. Hopefully this is helping you better understand some of the behavior and body language that we saw. As far as the photograph that we talked about, hopefully we can get more information on it to see whether or not it was authentically at the time of 6:38. Because if it was, there's certainly going to be more questions people have about that. But I think until we get that information, we shouldn't go too far in making assumptions about that picture, because there's just too many details we don't know yet. When we look at the video, it showed someone who once, again, was socially awkward, but didn't seem to be someone who got anxious very easily. He may have been anxious, asserting himself, but he wasn't anxious about the situation. So in other words, a car accident, something that causes a lot of adrenaline for most of us, didn't seem to be something that rattled him a whole lot. However, speaking his mind, speaking up, that seemed to be difficult for him. I do have more footage I'm going to be analyzing of Taylor Robinson that will be coming soon. And if there's anything else you want me to check out, please let me know in the comments below. Last thing before we get finished up is, I do want to remind you to like and subscribe if you want to see more content just like this. All right, thanks for watching.